I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be accept responsibility for your life. Well, I've got an interesting email here. I've got an email actually from a woman, and she's all pissed off at me because she says that I ruined her relationship because her boyfriend wasn't very happy in the relationship and then went to the internet to find a solution. And that's when he came across my videos and my website, and he started following them, and he realized what was wrong in his relationship. He tried to take corrective action, and his girlfriend was having no part of it because she's a control freak. She's obviously been hurt. She's had her heart broken, and so she developed a mindset that everything should be 50-50 in their relationship, and she purposely held back in their relationship and withheld their love, withheld their affection. There'd be times where she wanted to reach out and text him, and she's like, oh, well, I've texted him too much, I've reached out too much, it's got to be 50-50, so she wouldn't do that. And eventually, her boyfriend got tired of her manipulative behavior and ended the relationship with her. So this will be an interesting one. I've got a quote that I wrote on this topic, and then we're going to go through her email. And the quote says, "We must accept personal responsibility for our own success and happiness in life. The moment we make our success or happiness dependent upon acts of God, blind luck, or the actions of others, we lose the ability to successfully achieve our desired outcomes. Why? Most people in the world make their success and happiness dependent upon things outside of themselves. Living this way is a statement to the universe that you are powerless to influence the circumstances of your own life. It's a state of learned helplessness. Successful people take personal responsibility for everything that happens to them or that shows up in their lives. Everything that happens to them, good or bad, is directly related to their actions, focus, emotions, and beliefs. Therefore, they and they alone have the power to make their lives the way they want. Taking personal responsibility for your own life means you are the pilot and not a passenger." So she starts off, "Hi Corey, I just wanted to tell you thank you for ruining my relationship. I know it's all my fucking fault. You didn't contribute any way at all to driving your boyfriend away to the point where he got tired of your bullshit and left you. I won't sound too harsh or mean, but that's the case." Well, sure, when you don't want to take any responsibility and say it's all my fault, instead of really looking inward and saying, maybe there's a reason why if your boyfriend was so happy, he would have never sought out my videos and my book and my website in the first place. People only come to me when something is fucked up and going sideways in their life and their relationship. And obviously, if he was seeking help, he wanted to fix things, but you obviously weren't very cooperative. She says, "When I found out about you, I really started respecting you because you are nice and helping people, but I also want to stand up for alpha females that you are not even mentioning all the time. 10% of my clients are women. 90% of my clients are men. I coach thousands of men and women all over the world every year, and I teach human behavior, and I teach what works. And if I was totally full of shit, you wouldn't see all the people subscribing to my YouTube channel, and you wouldn't see all the great reviews that I get on Amazon, people reviewing my book. That's just a fact of life. I get emails all the time from men and women who are getting married, who are telling me that I saved their relationship. They're very happy, and I read a lot of these emails in my videos. So you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. The bottom line is the way you're showing up in your relationships is not appropriate. And the only way you're going to be able to fix that and keep from turning off the next guy is if you realize that what you're doing is not working. Because if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. I just hope that you'll be fair and say some information that will not ruin our relationships. Well, I'm dating an alpha female, and I know what alpha females are all about. And I've dated alpha females for many, many years since I learned this stuff. Alpha female doesn't mean that you're weak and you act beta. Alpha females will stand up for themselves, but they also act very feminine, and they have no problem telling their guy, hey, because my girl, she has no problem saying, I don't like what you're doing, I don't like the way you're treating me right now, I don't like the way you're talking to me, you're being a fucking asshole, you're stupid. She'll say shit like that to get my attention, and I always listen to her. We have a really great relationship, and I'm very happy with her. I wouldn't be able to date and attract somebody like that if I was a douchebag and didn't know what I was doing. And I've written about several relationships that I've had in the past with alpha females. So I've dated a Miss Florida. One of my former girlfriends, she wins everything that she competes in. She's a fitness model. She's fucking gorgeous. She comes from a very successful family. I wouldn't be able to attract somebody like that if I was a fucking douchebag and still have a great friendship with her all these years later. She says, not all women are the same. Like men, we separate us into beta male females and alpha females. Those women that you're mentioning in your videos are beta females. And I'd like you to state that. I don't want people to start having wrong opinions on alpha females. Honey, alpha female doesn't mean that you act like a fucking man. And I can already tell that's your problem. You act like a man in the relationship and you try to control everything because you've been hurt in the past. When you do that, when everything's 50-50, it totally ruins the sexual polarity in the relationship. And every single guy is going to get turned off for the same reason. If I was to talk to all your previous ex-boyfriends, they would tell me the same reasons for why they're no longer with you. When an alpha woman reads your book or watches your videos, she can accuse you for spreading misinformation. I teach human behavior. I teach things that are the way they are. And if I didn't teach things that work, there wouldn't be all these people reviewing my book and all these men and women saying great things about me on YouTube and liking all my videos. That's just a fact of life. But the truth is that you're talking about beta females. And you have right about what you say. Anyway, women are maybe emotional beings, but did you really think that we will stay that way forever? Well, as long as a man is showing up, he's in his masculine, and he's acting like a leader, and he's with a normal, healthy woman, she will feel safe and comfortable enough to let him lead. As a matter of fact, it was last week or the week before, I did a video with a woman who's very confident, and she had the same kind of attitude that you did. And the reason being is that most of the guys that she met were fucking pussies. And so she's dating a guy. It's the first guy in 6 years that she's actually pursued and reached out to and chased. And the reason she never chased any other guy was because no guy was worthy. But this man makes her feel safe and comfortable enough, and he knows what he's doing, that she feels safe and comfortable letting him be the leader. And so she has no problem calling him and asking him out on dates and doing most of the calling, texting, and pursuing because she trusts his masculine core, because he acts like an alpha male is supposed to act. But it's the first guy in 6 years that she's let into her life, and she's done that with because most guys just simply didn't measure up. She says, so we're pretty powerful, so we need men for nothing. Well, it sounds like you have a real high opinion of men. It's true, though. Women these days, they can raise kids on their own. They can have a very successful career. And I think that's fucking awesome. But it doesn't mean that you treat men like fucking dirt, or that you control them or manipulate them because you're afraid of getting hurt, because you're afraid of getting vulnerable. Vulnerability is power, but it doesn't mean you allow somebody to walk all over you. You have to stand up for yourself. Just like I was talking about my girl. She has no problem standing up for herself and calling me out on my bullshit. That's why I like her, because she's a true equal. She says, we can only want a man. My boyfriend was watching your videos and started doubting me for so many things. Again, if everything was so great and so awesome and your boyfriend thought you were such a great girlfriend, he would have been so happy, he would have had no reason to come to my website and watch my videos or even read my book. Bottom line is that people come to me when things are not working. He obviously wasn't happy. And he obviously made an effort to try to change things, but you fought him on that because you're acting like a control freak. And I can understand you've been hurt, and she even mentions this later on in her email. We'll get to that in a minute. Our relationship was great, and it lasted for 5 years. And now I don't know how to explain to him that alpha females don't act the way the women you talk about act. They absolutely do, but only to guys who earn it, guys who show themselves to be worthy. He believes in the facts that you were mentioning. Not all women are the same, like I said, and not all things work on all women. What I teach works on women who are healthy and who are comfortable in their femininity and who are comfortable being submissive and letting the man be the leader, but it doesn't mean they get walked all over. An alpha female stands up for herself. But she doesn't act like the dude in a relationship, because when a woman starts acting like a man, the guy's going to get totally turned off and lose all interest in having sex with her and being intimate with her. She says, not all women will fall for the same things, etc. He's doubting my love because you said that a woman should chase 80% of the time. Seriously? Do you know how busy I am? That's no excuse. I can't even think of him or any family member all the time. Doesn't mean you have to think of him all the time. I am focused on my work, and also I really respect myself and won't put in more effort than him. So in other words, instead of just being yourself and following what feels right and feels naturally, you're fighting your natural urges and you're acting like a fucking robot. Oh, well, it's got to be 50-50, and I've called him X amount of times this week, and therefore he's only called me. Okay, so I'm not going to call him now. So you're purposely holding back. The whole purpose of all relationships is you go there to give. And you're not giving, you're holding back. You're creating problems and unnecessary drama in your relationship because you're not acting natural. When I was a teen, so here's where the real issue for her is. When I was a teen, I put in more effort and was taken for granted, and that ain't going to happen again. Again, it means you stand up for yourself. It doesn't mean that you let somebody walk all over you. But when you're fighting your natural instinct to reach out and to call and to text and bond in those things and purposely holding back, that's just not fun. You're making your boyfriend feel like you don't give a fuck. You're acting like a man. You're acting like a control freak. It's manipulative. You're just making yourself suffer and him suffer. Nobody's going to want to stay with you when you act that way. Relationships are hard enough without one of the people in the relationship completely holding back and not being authentic and interacting and being congruent with what their heart tells them to do. So it's silly to expect that a woman will call or text more. Every relationship I've ever had in my life, every woman has always done most of the calling, texting, pursuing. It didn't start out that way. It always gravitates that way over time. And the only reason that my former exes and my current relationship, they do that is because I act like a fucking man. Because they trusted and trust my masculine core enough to do that. But if I wasn't showing up and I wasn't treating them properly and I wasn't also making an effort, they wouldn't be making the effort as well, and the relationship we wouldn't be together. She says, even if I have a need to text, I won't do that because I respect myself. So in other words, you want to reach out, but like reaching out means not respecting yourself because you got hurt when you were a teenager and now you don't feel comfortable acting like a woman. So you basically become a man. You're stuck in your masculine energy because you're trying to keep from getting hurt. And that is getting in the way of intimacy actually building in your relationships. And if you continue to act this way, you're going to get dumped by every single man that you date in the future, unless you date a guy that's a total pussy and a pleaser and a guy who lets you run the show. But if you get in a relationship with a guy like that, you're never going to be happy because he doesn't act like a fucking man. She says, I appreciate and value myself, and I won't hurt my pride by chasing more. So again, you're not following what you naturally, instinctively feel inside. You're acting like a robot because you think that's going to prevent you from getting hurt. In your mind, chasing more means potentially getting hurt. And so you hold back, and what happens? You get hurt, you get dumped because you don't act like a woman normally acts. All my relationships were working this way. I was dating alpha males. Yeah. So we were treating each other as equals. No one chased anyone. It's 50-50. And you're obviously not with any of those guys anymore. Because they eventually got tired and turned off and tired of you trying to control and manipulate everything and not be authentic, and they left. You are in a certain way teaching men to treat us like we are not equal. But that's not true. We are in the 21st century. I'm not teaching that at all. Men and women are both equally fucking awesome. But as far as how they show up, how they interact with one another, how they express love, how they get their needs met is a little different. And I discuss this in my book. Like I said, being an alpha female and being submissive does not mean you let the other person walk all over you. That's why a lot of women follow my work, and I coach a lot of women. Because I help them stand up for themselves and recognize when there's a problem, recognize when the guy's taking them for granted, and immediately speak up for themselves and take corrective action. Women now don't sit home, cook, and wait for our husband to come back home. And I think that's awesome. Some women still do, but we rich alpha females don't. In other words, you females that act like men and have problems in your relationships. I'm a very successful alpha female. Real alpha females are strong and looking feminine, and we're not like those ones who have an inferiority complex, so they try to look like men or act like a man. Well, you are acting like a man because you're trying to control everything. And you try to control everything and control your man, and eventually he gets fucking tired of your bullshit, and he left you. And it's really sad because you believe in God, but making things unfair on earth. Again, I teach what works. I get countless emails from men and women all over the world who have great, healthy relationships and marriages because of what I teach. I teach it to men and women both. I don't discriminate between one or the other. Men and women are equal. We don't dress for men. We are not desperate sluts. Women know men are visual creatures. Man, you can be visual creatures as much as you want. No alpha female will ever dress for you. We are above that. Really? Really? That's why all the beautiful women of the world spend so much time taking care of their hair and putting makeup on and painting their nails and going to the gym and working out and having a nice tan and wearing sexy clothes, revealing clothes. It's like, come on. You're bullshitting yourself, honey. We don't exist to please a man, and we don't wait for a man to choose us. We choose a man. I can dress in what appeals to me and get the man that I want. Well, if that was the case, then don't wear makeup. Cut all your hair off. Dress like a man. Wear baggy sweatpants all the time. But I bet you wear makeup and you get your hair done and you do all those things. Why? Because you want to look good and you want to look attractive. So you're saying one thing, but you obviously do another. It was always like that. We dress for ourselves. Well, at least that's what alpha females do. Beta females are insecure, needy, clingy, and probably desperate. Again, this is more just projecting your weakness onto a particular group of women that you think there's something wrong with, so you can absolve yourself from any blame or any personal responsibility for the fact that your boyfriend left you because he didn't like the way that you were treating him, or the fact that you were constantly holding back and not being authentic. Alpha females are too confident and they can have any man they want, and our attitude is take it or leave it, so I dress for me, and if a guy doesn't like it, I'll replace him with another man that's waiting in the line. The only time when I'll dress for a guy is when I'm in a relationship with him for a while, so I don't ask him to play dress-up game with me. But that's for fun, not to attract him. Think about what you just said to me. Makes no sense. If he doesn't like me for who I am, he can go. He's not the last man on earth. I agree with that statement. That's a great attitude to have. And you teach guys to become even more superficial than they already are. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. I teach that because when men focus on things other than that, they're focused on trying to lock a woman down to a commitment. They do too much pursuing, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of videos and articles that I've done over the years where guys did exactly what you want them to do, and across the board, they always get dumped. It doesn't work. But what about some deeper connection with people? Like sex is everything. It's not. Sex is a very small part of a relationship, and I've said that countless times in other videos. The whole purpose of our relationships is you go there to give, but your problem is you're not giving freely. You are guilty of horse trading. In other words, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. That's not love. That's a transaction. We women fight all our lives to not be seen as sexual objects, but you now work against us. Not true. Again, I wouldn't be coaching thousands of men and women every year if that were true. In one video, a girl was complaining to you that a guy told her to come over, and she asked him, "Do you want to fuck me?" And he said, "No, I just want to fuck." So she got mad and didn't want to come over, but you told her, "Why didn't you go if you wanted sex?" You're teaching her to allow herself to be taken for granted. Absolutely not. If he's not treating her over, I don't remember which video. I've done 1,500 of them, so I don't know which one you're referring to. But I never teach that. She did want sex, but she can't get it from someone else, or she can get it from someone else who respects her, who values you and wants to have sex exactly with her. So I don't know why you do this, why you give better advices to men than women. Again, that's bullshit. This is your attempt to belittle me and belittle the things that I teach because, again, you don't want to accept any responsibility for the fact that your boyfriend left you. But if you don't want to treat us equally, then go back to the 12th century where we weren't equal. Again, more BS. And please mention in your videos that alpha females aren't the same as those desperate, clingy, needy women that you are mentioning most of the time. Again, more nonsense. So you have this attitude that you're somehow better than all women out there. And that's fucking bullshit. That's arrogant and it's condescending of you. We have dignity. Please stop ruining what we're building for years. Women and men are equal. God created us in that way. We don't exist to please a man. We exist to please ourselves. You got to make yourself happy first. I agree with that. And the whole purpose of all relationships is you go there to give. But again, your problem is you're showing up and treating a relationship like it's some kind of transaction and you're keeping score of everything. How many times he calls or texts you, instead of just being yourself and showing up and giving because that's who you are, because you want to see a smile on his face, because you want to make him happy. And it's not true that a woman doesn't want control in a relationship. I control me, he himself. I want my freedom, not a guy who'll try to decide everything for me. That's not what I teach. But when a woman is with a man who acts like an alpha male, who makes her feel safe and comfortable, she is happy to let him be the leader. I don't want to be dependent. I'm not saying that you need to be dependent. I'm saying that you need to act like a woman and not a man. I am my leader, I lead me, and he leads himself. If a man feels insecure around a strong woman, that's his problem. I agree with that statement. He should just gain more confidence and then he'll see an alpha female as an equal. And no, we aren't submissive. If you weren't submissive, if you weren't physically designed to be submissive, you wouldn't have a vagina and you wouldn't be penetrated by a man. I didn't make women that way. That's the way the Creator made women. If I notice that a man is expecting me to be submissive, I find him very conservative and I'm out. No man will control me. Again, this is your manipulative behavior. You're trying to prevent from being hurt like you were like a teenager. And so you fear that if you're vulnerable and you let a man take you and have his way with you, that you're somehow going to get hurt like you were as a teenager. But the problem is, because now you're not acting authentic and you're not acting like a woman, it leads to the end of your relationship and you get your heart broken. So you're getting hurt regardless. So you change your behavior because of what happened when you were a teenager and you start acting like a man and you still get hurt. The one thing you were trying to avoid was getting hurt. That's exactly what's happened here. And I won't try to control a man either. We're just equal. It's the 21st century, a time when men and women are equally successful and equally strong. I agree with that. True statement. If you don't like it, then keep dating beta females and keep talking about them. Alpha females don't need support of a man anyway. I agree with that. My girl is very feminine. She's very successful. She has her own business. She doesn't need me for nothing. But she's totally comfortable letting me be the leader, and she likes it that way. She loves my work. She loves what I do. She totally supports it. And every time we walk into a room together, every fucking head turns at her because she's fucking drop dead gorgeous. She can have any fucking guy that she wants, but she chose me because I'm one of the few men that she's ever met in her life that really fucking gets it. We're going to exist forever. A real woman doesn't exist in this world to make a man feel a certain way. We exist for ourselves and won't serve anyone and won't be submissive. We got so much to offer the world. Well, it's your choice. Just like Ayn Rand said, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality, and that's your problem. You try to act like a dude, you try to act like a man, it ruins the sexual polarity in your relationship because you're always trying to control things, you're always trying to be the dude, and eventually the guy gets turned off to the point where he doesn't even want to be with you anymore. That's not my fault. That's your fault because you're fighting your natural urges. You're fighting what your heart is compelling you to do because you're afraid that you're going to get hurt. And what you fear, you attract. So you act totally congruent with your fears, and exactly what you're trying to avoid, which is getting your heart broken, is exactly what happens. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. My advice for you would be to read my book and learn it backwards and forwards. And be okay with being submissive, but I do not teach just by being submissive it means you let somebody else walk all over you and disrespect you. I don't say that anywhere, and it is definitely not what I teach. Your problem is maybe you should go see a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor and talk to somebody, because you obviously have some unresolved wounds and issues from when you were a teenager. And a trained licensed therapist can really help you with that, really help you turn things around, because until you get over that, you're going to continue to have problems in your relationships. And I'd like to see you happy and have a healthy relationship, because obviously what you're doing isn't working for you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.